Well, you guys saw yesterday, frustrating day. Today wasn't easy. Today was a little bit of a tricky day as well. Well, what am I talking about? I'm up $10,000. Not really that hard of a day. It was a pretty good day. Today was a great day. I'm up right now, well over $10,000. This has been some solid momentum. First trade right out of the gates, I went red. And I had to work my way out, got myself first to break even, then to green, then to the daily goal, and then it was just trade after trade after trade. And in fact, I traded a total of 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, actually 10 different stocks today. I was pretty active, but the market was hot. Momentum was there, and so I kept jumping in and riding that momentum up to the next level. That's the way I do it. On a day when the market's really hot, I keep getting in, I buy high on pullbacks, I sell higher. Now, once I start to lose, that's when I stop trading. But if I'm still winning, I'll keep trading up until 2, 3, even right up to the close of market hours. It's not typical that I can go all the way till 4 without having that pullback, but it has happened occasionally. And today was one of those days where I kept trading well into the afternoon. So a nice surprise, some nice momentum and a nice bounce, obviously after yesterday's red day. Not that it was a particularly bad red day, but it was more frustrating than anything else. So to be back in the green here feels really good. And this is gonna set the stage for what will hopefully be Wildcard Friday coming tomorrow. What's up, everyone? All right, so we're gonna go over the trades from today. As you can see right here, over $10,000 of profit in my main Lightspeed account, which is great. Very active today. This is one of the most active days I've had in a while. And, you know, I only have $11,000 to show for it. I really churned a lot of shares today, getting in, getting out, traded a lot of different stocks, and I ended up giving back a little bit of money on my last 2 trades. I did not hit any of my thresholds for being forced to walk away. I did not have 3 consecutive losers. I did not give back more than half my profits, and I did not hit my daily max loss. However, I did start the day going in the red, and I'll talk about that trade. And I had to work my way out of the red into the green, and you know, I've made my way here up to, well, $11,800 in this account. I was up over 15,000 in this account before these last 2 trades on TCON and Jan, which I'm a little disappointed that I jumped into. But you know, one of the things with trading is that when the market is hot, for me, those are the days that I want to dig deep and I want to really capitalize on the opportunity, because these days, you know, when they come along, you really want to make the most of them. You'll have days later in the week or month or whatever where there's no use trading in the afternoon because there's nothing moving. But when things are moving, you want to try to do the best you can and make some good money. So I did a pretty good job of that today. LMPX is the biggest winner. So we'll look at that stock first. LMPX yesterday made a really big move. This thing squeezed from 30 bucks up to $40. All-time highs on it, $44. And this thing, without any news, is just grinding back up. So this morning, when I saw the pre-market high was $42, I was thinking, man, this thing breaks 42, it's gonna rip to 44, and then we're at all-time highs. And so shortly after the bell ringing, I was watching it, and right here, as it broke over 42, I jumped in on this candle. I jumped in as it broke through that level, and then I was adding basically every dollar per share until we got up to, I think it was $45 a share, or maybe it was 46. And then I held the rest into this breakout. We had a 1-minute micro pullback, and then this final squeeze up to $49. And with that, I was able to make $4,470, which is awesome. I took a starter of 500 shares. I added up to 1,000. And then on this final little 1-minute breakout, I added another 500 shares. So I had 1,500 shares total, which was I was willing to go up to 2,000 shares, but I was only going to add if it broke $50, because then I was starting to think that this may have potential for a move up to 60, 70, or 80. but it didn't do that. If it had news today, it probably would have been more likely to have a bigger breakout. So jumped on that momentum there. A really nice trade on LMPX. A second trade or second stock, which is the biggest winner, is RELV. This one was kind of a funny one. It hit the scanners and spiked up and got halted here at 567. So I actually jumped into it. Let's see, let me find this on the scanners. I'm gonna have to go back a ways. You can see so many stocks on the scans today. All right, so there's the open, MNI, we'll look at that one. I'm not sure where this is. It might be, oh, there it is. Okay, so here it hits the scanner. It's squeezing up. It's up 35%, 36, 37, 40, 41. It's squeezing up. I jump in. It hits a high of 567 and is halted on a circuit breaker. It resumes 5 minutes later and squeezes up to 638. It then pulls back and actually halts, I believe, going down. I think it halted going down. And so I was like, oh, well, that's disappointing. You know, I mean, it obviously was nice from 550 up to $6. I made some money there, but then it rejected that level and came back down. Well, coming out of that halt, it ripped back up. And so I actually bought this breakout right here over 670. And we got that squeeze up to a high of 775. That was an awesome trade. I was really happy with that one. That was a better trade than this one. This one hit the scanner. I jumped in quickly, smaller share size, got a win out of it, but it was a very quick trade. And then it curled back up and gave a flat top breakout over 670. So that was a really nice trade. Did really well on that one. AEMD, and this is in order of the ones that I made the most on, not in the order that I actually traded them. AEMD. All right, so a couple big moves on this one. First, this squeeze up from 2 to a high of 253, then a pullback, a pop back up, a flat top breakout, as you can see right here, and then a move higher. Let me go back and look at my trade on this. So my entry on this was, my first entry was 235. All right, so I was getting in this, let's see, this was right in this area here for the break over 250. Nice, clean 5-minute setup that you'll see right here. Little bit of a red flag on the 5-minute setup, the high red volume on this candle. But it pulled back, and as it broke over the $0.50 of 45.50, we got that quick squeeze and then that surge up through 3. It hit a high of 72, then does another 1-minute pullback. Again, another small 1-minute pullback here. And then this breakout. You just don't get those every day. So when you get them, you've got to be grateful because this was awesome. Really solid. So a quick squeeze here from 240 up to 340. That was good for almost $3,000. And then we have NK. NK was all over the place. This stock was crazy. It hit the scanners, squeezing up. It hit first, let's see, this was 650, 7, up to 750, 771, and then it pulls back. This was the pullback entry right here, 750. Now, I was skeptical, but this thing broke 750 and ripped all the way up to 971. It was ridiculous. The problem was that it also faked me out a little bit. So, it squeezed up here to a high of 829, and right here at 829, I got back in on this candle, that candle right there, and then I stopped out as it dropped down here. I lost everything that I made in this breakout. The whole thing, it was gone. And then I got back in for the break of 830, and it rips up to 892. It then does a little pullback here. I added 892 for the break of 9, and it rips up to 971. But because I had given back all of my profit on this trade right here, when I got back in, I didn't have as much of a cushion. I didn't feel comfortable taking big size. So I didn't make as much money. And then on this pullback, you know, I had gotten myself back to slightly green on the name, but I didn't feel comfortable being aggressive. And so even though this right here was a bigger breakout, than this one, I didn't size with enough shares to make more money. So I went from up 3 grand to down about 500, and then I'm finishing up 2,000. MNI. Now this stock gave a pretty impressive breakout over $2. Great job for those of you guys that jumped in it for the break at this flat top right here. It broke 2, squeezed up to a high of 243 and got halted. I jumped in right here coming out of the first halt. It ended up hitting a high of 259 before pulling back. So nice trade there, good for $1,000. Not a home run, but a decent trade. APEX, this was a quick trade off the scans. This was on our pre-market watch list. It was nothing that exciting. I jumped in it as it was surging up here, and it hit a high of $1.25, but nothing too exciting. YTN, another one here. It started to open up, as you can see on this candle right here. It broke through 720. I got in on this pullback at 680, and it hit a high of 720. It didn't hold that level. I only made 120 bucks on it. RBZ. All right, so RBZ, this one was a quick little kind of breakout trade right at the open. As you can see, we had a little micro pullback here from 30 up to a high of 38. False breakout, flushes down. I'm down 63 on it. My 2 afternoon trades. In keeping with tradition, I lose money in the afternoon. Now, the reason I kept looking at stocks through the afternoon was because up until those 2 trades, I was up $14,900. And I was like, I'm having a pretty awesome day. So the momentum is hot. And if I keep seeing opportunities, I'm going to keep trading. I'm going to keep trying to be aggressive. And so when I saw TCON pop up right here, I was like, oh man, this thing looks good. 1 minute pullback. I jumped in for the first 1 minute candle to make a new high right here at 420. But I only took 2,000 shares. It squeezes all the way up to 480, and I was selling it as it was going up, so I only made like 500 bucks on it. It wasn't a home run. Then it pulls back, and I was like, okay, I'm jumping in this thing. Right here, I get in on this pullback, and this time I took, I think it was 8,000 shares. I was like, all right, I've got a cushion on the name. This thing looks like it's gonna break over 5. Jumped in it here. It hits a high of 66. So the first 1 minute candle makes a new high by 4 cents. It then drops down to 50. And I was like, well, let's give this a second. And then it flushes down to 435 and I have to stop out. So I end up losing $1,000. I go from green to red. I overstayed my welcome. And I didn't take any more trades on it. And then Jan pops up and hits the scanners. So these are all the stocks that were hitting the scanners today. LMPX, RELV, Jan, IDXG, a couple others, TCON. All right, so the last one, wherever it was, around here was Jan. So all of a sudden I look at Jan and I'm like, man, this thing is taking off. And I see that it's got a catalyst. And so I press the buy button, shift 1, which is to buy 1,000 shares. And I got filled like 400 shares at 460. It then rips up to 487. And I was like, oh man, I'm up like 27 cents per share, but only with tiny size. So what I decided to do, and this was right underneath 87. It was kind of hanging out there for just a second right here. So right through here, I decided to add. I added at 87 and 86, thinking that this was going to break over $5. It was going to rip through 5, and we were going to get a nice little squeeze up, you know, like TCON, maybe another 20, 30% squeeze. And then in this candle, it drops back down to 450. 440, I stopped out, hit the bid, and just like that, I lost $2,000. I sized up right here on this little micro pullback, and that was a mistake. And this stock ended up coming all the way back down to 380. I mean, it retraced the entire move, which is ridiculous. So kind of got caught there in a little bit of a trap, a bull trap. The stock squeezed up and then reversed hard. So I gave back some profit from being up 14, 15 grand to being up only 11,800. And, you know, the thing is, I was really active today. I felt like I had a little bit of a, a little bit of a bone to pick with the market after losing money yesterday. And of course, I lost money yesterday in combination because the market wasn't very hot and because I chose to break my rules. That breaking the rules is my own fault. The market, it is what it is. Sometimes it's hot, sometimes it's cold. And actually was green by $3,800 yesterday before I went down into the red. So I think today I felt this, and this is, I'm just gonna vent, for a second here and let you guys kind of be my sounding board. This is one of the things that's so difficult with trading. No, we all know this, but it's the emotional stuff. Even having done this as long as I've done it, yesterday, I was very frustrated with myself. I had to give myself a haircut and I was frustrated. And, I saw some of you guys are like, don't be so hard on yourself. And it's my feeling on that is, no, I'm going to be hard on myself because yesterday wasn't acceptable. That wasn't okay. The trading wasn't good. Giving back profit wasn't good. Making mistakes is not good. It's not good. It really isn't. And, you gotta hold yourself to these rules. And I haven't been particularly happy with my trading honestly for a few months, just because I've had such big swings in my my P&L. And in fact, in the last year, I've had 2 red months. I was red in March of last year, and I was red again in October of last year. Now, last year was a good year for me, but I didn't hit my goal. And my goal was 500,000, and I finished with 367,000. $367,000 is good, but it was not my goal. And part of the reason I came up short on my goal was swinging for home runs, breaking rules, being kind of, a cowboy in the way I was trading, throwing around big share size, 10,000, 15, 20,000 shares, and getting some huge slippage on some of those losses and just really getting wrecked. And the emotional stakes start getting higher and higher, start getting more and more frustrated. So last night I was kind of talking to myself, as one will sometimes do after a bad day of trading. And I was like, why did I break the rule yesterday? Why did I do this? Why? And I was like, you know what? Don't focus on the why. Let's just not focus on the why for a second. Let's just focus on the what. What did I do yesterday that was so that got me so upset? What I did yesterday was, after I'd given back half of my profit, I decided to keep trading. And unfortunately, that was a mistake. And I ended up going from up $1,000 after, that loss that gave back half my profit, to down over 1,000. And that made me really angry with myself because, I traded past my max loss. Okay, so the what is traded past max loss. And I would say took a couple of trades that were impulsive and not as well thought out as I would have liked. I lowered my quality standard. I took lower quality trades. I started feeling like I was sort of grasping for straws, trying to get back to green or get back to how much I'd made. So that was the what. And the why is the emotional stuff. And so then I said, well, Ross, let's just imagine for a second that, you make back, tomorrow, you make back everything you lost today, which wasn't a lot. And so that wouldn't be too hard to do. And in fact, I did it. You make back everything you lost today. All right, fine, great. So you're back to you're back to your square, you're back to flat after that little fiasco. And for you guys, maybe ask yourself the same question. Let's say you're down $5,000 this month. And let's say tomorrow you make back the 5,000. What are you going to do differently so that doesn't happen again? So you don't go back in that same situation. Because when I'm looking at my my P&L and my equity curve, when I pull up TraderView, the thing that's frustrating for me about last year was the fact that I had, and I talked about this a little bit yesterday, but I had some pretty big drawdowns. I had a big drawdown here in March, another big one in June, when I was in Italy, supposed to be on vacation, and I lose $32,000. And then I did it again here in November, coming into the holidays, down $48,000. And I was getting myself I was so angry with myself here in March. I was furious. I was very upset with myself here in Italy. I was very upset with myself here. So it's almost like it's an emotional meter. Emotions back here, yeah, I was pretty upset, around this period. I was pretty upset around this period. But the emotions of going down this much, for me, they're so high. And I recognize the comment that one of you guys posted in the comments on YouTube that, well, Ross, you actually, even though you gave back 47,000 right here, that's relative to being up, because that was right here, 1.6 million. That's not even a 5% drawdown. Like, that's not bad. Okay, yes, but I reset my account. Even though this is my cumulative return of this period of time, the account is not sitting at 1.6 million. The account usually sits anywhere from 50,000 to 100,000. And then I take money out and, then I grow it again. So during this drawdown, the account went from like 100 grand to like 50 grand. I cut it in half basically. So that is a pretty big drawdown. It's not a good thing to do. Now, of course, I trade as aggressively as I do because I know that even if I did have a really bad loss, I could always just add more money to my account. I don't have to treat it like it's my last $500 because it's not, or 50,000 because it's not. But yeah, the emotional kind of downs last year were much deeper than they had been in previous years. And, I ended up making a little less money, and those downs, kind of threw me off my game each time it happened, got myself stressed out, had to press the reset button, had to go back to small size, blah, 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 blah. And then eventually I got myself all the way back up to flat, only to do it again, right? So what are you going to do the next time, let's say, and let's just say, let's just say for pretend that whatever you're down, whatever you're red, let's just put it back to zero, just for pretend. What does that do to your kind of psyche? If all of a sudden you're not carrying the baggage of being down 5 grand on the month or 10 grand or 20 grand or whatever it is, you're flat on the month. The baggage is gone. Okay, so now what are you going to do differently to make sure you don't have a big drawdown like this? Now, these drawdowns for me, this one is most memorable. This was I don't know what year, 12-year anniversary of my dad dying of cancer. And I decided to try to, be a hero or something. And I don't know, whatever, lost 30 grand. Next day I bounce up a little bit. But I'm not clear mentally. And then I have another big red day right after it. So I know this one huge loss, that was one trade. It was one trade that I went super, super big on. And it was kind of like something like this where I jumped into it kind of impulsively. And before I knew it, I was in, and then I didn't want to cut my loss. And so I was like, screw it. I'm just going to keep adding shares. And this one's either going to make me or break me. You never want to be trading when you're in an emotional place where you're like, like, screw it. I'm already having a bad day. Let's just go all in, right? That's, usually that's not a good time to be trading when you're ready to just kind of throw it in like that. And I think I am notoriously overconfident in my ability to maintain composure despite being, you know, having other things influencing me, like, you know, what's going on in my life, you know, what's going on outside of trading. As much as I might try to draw a line and say, well, that's outside of it, it's not here or there. It is here, it's with me, and it's hard to put that aside. So that certainly influenced this drawdown here. It then took a while to bounce back and get back to flat. And then I started getting aggressive. I started feeling FOMO that I had missed some really good opportunities. And I started getting a little stubborn and swinging with bigger share size. And then I got caught in a couple of really big losses. Now, as I said yesterday, it's kind of like if you picture building a block tower. You know, you're building 1 block and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. And then to have them all knocked down. The feeling of discomfort is so strong that what you really want is to, and I'll just, since I'm mostly talking just to you guys, what you really want is to just like bounce back, to alleviate that discomfort. The fastest way to alleviate it is to jump right back to green, and that's to get a quick win. Now, hey, today's a day where I got a quick win. You know, I got a couple quick wins, and I got myself right out of the hole. That's not to mention that I started the day by losing $4,500 on CETX. And that prompted me to be a little more aggressive today. So that was my first trade, CETX. And I jumped into it with 15,000 shares. And I really thought this thing was going to break over 350. I really thought it would. So I jumped in it as soon as the bell rang at $3.30. And you can see it flushed down here to 302. It came back up. I was still holding right here, looking for it to break over, do then a red to green move, rip through 40, up through 50. I thought because of the news that it was going to squeeze out short sellers from yesterday and it was going to surge up. And I was wrong. Now, this was in my retirement account. I took a 15,000 share position. I lost 30 cents a share. And, you know, I'm just like that, down $4,500. So I hit my max loss in this account. And my rule right now is if I hit a max loss in that account, I'll switch to the other. Or if I hit it in this one, I'll switch to the other one. Of course, I was actually trying to recoup some losses in the retirement account that I've incurred over the last few weeks, because most days I start in my main account and I only switch to the retirement account if I've either just had a big loss in this account and I'm just like, okay, I can't trade it anymore. Or if I've had a good day and I'm like, okay, it's time to start making some money in the small account or in the retirement account now. And that means I start trading the retirement account at like 10:30 or 11 o'clock, which is not the best time to start trading. So it's kind of been getting the short end of the stick. Anyways, I switched gears and started trading over here. And I started trading pretty aggressively. Now, I first had to get back to up 4,500. First up 4,500 to make back that stupid loss on CETX. And then the second, I had to get back the losses from yesterday. And it's that mindset that's really hard to shake. And so today I was more aggressive than I would have been if I didn't have a loss yesterday. And, you know, it's, of course, my luck that I don't happen to be as aggressive on days where sometimes I don't happen to be as aggressive on a day that if I was aggressive, I might make $25,000 or $30,000. You know, you sometimes see a stock, I can't think of the latest, most recent stock, but I don't know, ADAP, this stock went from 2 to 6. I made money on it, but I don't know. You know, it's one of these ones that just goes totally crazy. But on that particular day, you're not feeling like being as aggressive. You know, you don't capitalize, you don't make as much. And then it's after a loss that you feel like you need to try to make it back. I think for me, the thing that triggers me the most is going from green on the day to red, and is, you know, simply having a loss, going from up 10,000 to up only 8,000. going up from up 4,000 to up only 2,000. That feeling of loss, even though I'm still green on the day, can cause me to start to get really aggressive. Something that I was thinking about as maybe a technique to help slow down my thinking a little bit would be to take position sizes based on the dollar amount. So let's say T-Con, well, I only want to take, or Jan, I'm looking at Jan. Well, Jan, I only want to take, let's say, $35,000 worth of stock. So then before I can get in this stock, I can't just buy 5,000 shares. I've got to actually think, okay, well, wait a second. $35,000 divided by the current price of $5. So how many shares can I take? So 6,000, 30, so 7,000. I wondered if maybe forcing myself to do, little arithmetic would, or multiplication or division would just kind of slow me down a little bit. One of the other things that I did when I was trying to slow myself down is I took the Shift 1 hotkey off my keyboard. I did that during my CMEG account challenge in December when I turned $500 into 50,000. I didn't have a hotkey to buy. So every time I wanted to buy, I had to manually enter the order. Now that slowed me down and that forced me to be a little more thoughtful. I would say my biggest problem is that I can get really aggressive for a reason not tied to the market, a reason like I'm frustrated or I have a goal of this or I had a bad day and I want to try to make it back. And when I'm looking for trades, it's easy to talk myself into them. And essentially what I do is when I start to feel more emotionally, I guess, kind of, when the emotional stakes start to go up and I'm more emotionally fueled, in tandem, emotions go up, quality standard goes down. So I go from only trading A quality setups to trading a B quality, a C quality, even a D quality setup. And I do that because even a D quality setup, you can potentially make money on, right? A quality setups, if you wait for only A quality, you might not have a chance to bail yourself out of the hole. You might have to wait a few more days. LMPX, was it A quality? Well, the fact that I had to scale in with 500 share positions tells you that the risk was obviously higher. It was a good daily setup, made sense there. That was okay. RELV, jumping into it, going into the first halt, was risky. Yesterday on PEC, I did not do that, and PEC ended up going into a second halt and then ripping higher. This came out of the first halt and then halted going down. So it did not do what PEC did yesterday. The safe trade on it was this one right here. Of course, that's always the challenge with trading is, if you set your quality standards so high, then you could set it so high that you're only trading once a week. And now that's no longer going to be, that's not going to work, right? So you have to adjust it, and you may even have to adjust it in different markets. In a really hot market, you may be able to be a little more aggressive and take a couple of those B quality setups and they're going to work. Whereas in a cold market, even an A quality setup might not be working at the same percentage of success that you're accustomed to. The problem is a lot of times during a B market or during a colder market, you start to feel even more pressure to trade because you need to make money. Or if you had a big red trade at the beginning of the cold market, which is very common because you were in a hot market, you were being super aggressive, and then you got slammed with a big loss. So now you're going into what is starting a cold market with a big loss. And now it's like, you want to desperately get back to green, but the market conditions aren't suitable for it. So how do you really, truly trade the market that you're in and put all your stuff, at the door when you come into trade? I, through all my years of doing this, still struggle from time to time. it's not the ability to maintain emotional composure while you're trading. It's not something that you get and you have it forever. It's not like beating a level in a video game, or it's not like getting a diploma and you put it on your wall. It's a muscle that you have to constantly exercise. And the problem is, during a hot streak, that muscle gets atrophied because you get reinforced, you get positive reinforcement for negative behaviors, because in a hot market, you're taking C and D quality setups and you're making money. So you start to learn bad habits. And it's not even necessarily a bad habit. You're making money. The market is hot. B and C quality setups are worth trading in a hot market. But how do you know when the market's hot or cold? And it can switch so quickly from day to day sometimes. It's a tightrope. It really is like walking a tightrope. And it's, it's a good thing that it's not boring, because it definitely keeps you engaged. Every day is different and it's a different challenge. And the setups that we trade are not always picture perfect straight out of the textbook, which is why it is so important to be able to trade next to someone who's been doing it for a while. And there may be times where you see me trading and you're thinking, he's getting pretty aggressive. I wonder if it's because the market is hot, or if it's because he's trying to dig himself out of the hole and he's revenge trading, or he's something else. It may be obvious that it is one or the other on different days. Today, the market was pretty hot. There's no question about it. But those last trades on T-Con and Jan, I was pushing it and I was being really aggressive because, I was trying to have a really big green day. And even though I was up 14,000, being up 15 or 20,000 would be even better. And I thought that today was the day that it might happen. So, this is, it's one of the challenges with trading. And, I was thinking about this last night with the small account challenge I did. When I did the small account challenge, and I was like, all right, this will bring down my stress level. Because during the small account challenge, I'll just trade, I'll be obviously trading with smaller share size. But the problem is, if with a small account, you lose $200 and you cut the account in half, you're going to feel just as frustrated as I feel, having lost 20,000 or whatever the case might be. You know what I mean? You're not going to be able, you might think, oh, well, you only lost $200, you can get out of that. If you're trading with 200 shares, it's going to still take you a week and a half to dig yourself out of that hole. It's no different. So the stress level of trading with a small account, in some ways, might even be higher. Again, with a big account, you might say, oh, you can trade your way out of this stuff. You can average down, stuff like that. And I don't really think that's true. I mean, LMPX, I was running out of buying power. When I tried to add another 500 shares, it said not enough buying power. You can't trade your way out of a $47 stock. If you're wrong, you got to bail out. You can't just average down. And with the cheap stocks, you really want to take 40,000 shares to try to work your way out? Because what if all of a sudden, in the middle of the day, you get news of secondary offering or something stupid like that, and the stock drops 25%. Just like that with your 40,000 shares, well, now you're down 50 grand or whatever. So, I think regardless of account size, whether you're trading with a small account, I think in a lot of ways the small account, which I thought would be less stressful, is actually even more stressful because you're so close to the edge. I didn't trade in my TD Ameritrade account today. My TD Ameritrade account, I could trade in, but I didn't. Going red right away on CETX. I didn't trade CETX in my big account or my TD account because I knew in the first 2 minutes or so of trading, the stock could be very volatile, and I wasn't sure TD Ameritrade would be able to keep up. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to focus on this one in my retirement account. Try to grab a quick, 30, 40 cents on a squeeze from $3.50 up to $4, whatever. So then once I took that big loss, I was like, all right, well, I'm not going to go switch gears and try to make $120 in my cash only TD account. Now I got a $4,500 hole that I have to dig out of. And LMPX, there was no way I was going to trade it in this account. It's too expensive. So LMPX, big account. That went into, after LMPX, my next trade was MNI, and then RBZ and APEX. So, you know, by the time it was 10 a.m., that's not the time of day I'm going to take my first trade in this account. So it just kind of missed the opportunity there, and it's probably just as well. You know, this ends up being you know, it's funny on the surface. This looks like a great day. Even obviously 11,800 is great in the main account, but between the two, you know, $6,000 is a great day. All right, so really good day, and yet the story beneath it, you know, the initial loss, the having to try to dig myself out, getting all the way back to green, only to then have $3,000 in losses off the top. You know, it just paints this picture of being very aggressive. And, you know, I could have easily been doing all of this in my CMEG account, you know, first loss and then digging myself out and, you know, this big swing. And it can happen. And I do think I was in the zone really pretty well for a while today. I was so focused on trading, but you know, I was being more aggressive than I typically would, and it really started because I began the day in the hole. I had to dig myself out, and then I was just kind of in this mindset of I'm digging myself out. Because even as I was going green in this account, I was like, well, you know, my IRA account's still red, and I can't do anything about it. So I just kind of maintained that emotional state of I'm digging myself out. Today's the day I'm digging out. From yesterday, from the first loss. And so it kind of led to a little bit of a wild day where I traded very aggressively. I mean, I was just jumping into kind of everything that moved. 11 different stocks I traded today. It would be nice to make $6,000 and trade only one stock and only have to take 2 trades. And some days that happens. But today it couldn't happen. So when I do my 2019 year in review, I'll talk about you know, kind of some of the challenges of 2019 and some of the things that I want to try to improve upon in 2020, although I'm not making any progress on that at all right now. And, you know, that's a little disappointing, but whatever. It is what it is for right now. So just today's another day, at least heading in the right direction. And hopefully tomorrow we'll get some good opportunities. And beginning of the year, I think it's just always hard for me because it feels like I feel like, man, I need to, I'm zero on the year. You know, I need to build my cushion as quick as I can. And will I make as much this year as I made last year? And, you know, these kind of, it's this pressure at the very beginning to try to get yourself in the driver's seat as quickly as possible. And you know what? The fastest way to get yourself in the driver's seat is to hit a home run. But to hit a home run requires some risk, and that can result in some losses. And I think that that's part of why I didn't stop trading yesterday. Is I felt like I gave back some profit, and I technically broke that rule of giving back half my gains, and I kept trading, but I can't afford to not keep trading. It's so early in the year. I need to keep trading. I need to keep looking for opportunities. I can't get stopped out and stop trading in the first 1 minute of the day on CETX. And it certainly doesn't mean that there's not more opportunities. Now this, I'm not going to give myself a haircut on this because this was okay to hit my max loss in that one account and then switch to the other, because I do that. That's fine. But if I was only trading in one account, for instance, and let's say I lost 5,000 on that trade, that would have been my max loss for the day. How frustrating to have that happen, because you know, you feel like, well, what if 2 minutes after that happens, you see a stock that, you know, RELV or whatever the case is, that all of a sudden starts to open up. It's definitely a challenge trying to be aggressive and take big size to maximize opportunity, but at the same time, not allow yourself to be sized so heavily that if you lose on that trade, you're wiped out for the day. I would say, based on my conviction of statistically being right 69, 70% of the time, there'll be times where I'm like, okay, you know what? Today's a day where I'm taking $5,000 of risk, and it's either going to be a $10,000 winner or, you know, it's going to be a $10,000 loser. It's going to be one or the other. But there's a 70% chance that it'll be a winner. Of course, that's over the long haul. And the problem is that it doesn't matter when you're right 70% of the time if on, you know, those 3 trades that you lose on, let's say 3 out of 10, you risk $50,000 on those 3. And then on all the winners, you're only risking $2,000 to make $2,000, right? Then you can be a trader who's right 70% of the time or even 90% of the time and still losing money. Anyways, you know, these are the things that every trader goes through. Any trader who, you know, says you can trade and there's no stress and it's just super, super easy and you don't, you know, you don't have to deal with any emotional anything. That's just not true. Is this an easy job? It's easy in a lot of ways. I sit here in front of my computer, comfort of my, you know, either office or home or wherever. I can travel. I can do it from anywhere in the world. But the biggest battle will be your emotions. And some people are suited for that battle every day and they do really well. And some people, they can't do it. And I would say I'm, you know, I barely hold it together, but I hold it together. So there's definitely people out there that are better than me with their own emotions, you know, which is kind of a funny thing because all of that is separate from the strategy. You know, I have the strategy that I teach, I have the strategy that I trade, but then the emotions will cause me to deviate from my own strategy. You know, but that's the power of emotions, and that's what we call being emotionally hijacked. And it can happen to every single one of us. So everything and anything you can do to get yourself really strong from the emotional place is going to set you up for success long term. No doubt about it. That's why I have 2 trading coaches our trading psychology team at Warrior Trading that provides mentoring to my students, because it's that important. You know, I do that because I want to see you guys succeed. And I know it's a challenge, the emotional stuff. So anyways, that's going to be it for me. Long recap. Green day, as it turns out. I almost said red day. Feels like a red day. I'm still beating myself up from yesterday, I guess. But hey, it's actually a green day. So there we go. That's nice. And this has actually been a really good week in the grand scheme of things. I made 10,000, 11,000 on Monday, and here's another really solid green day on Thursday. So tomorrow is Friday, wild card Friday, and we'll see if we can finish off the week with a couple more solid trades. I'll definitely be keeping an eye on LMPX for continuation. It's a risky one, no doubt about it. I can't take very many shares, and that's probably a good thing, because you don't want to be taking 15,000 shares of a stock like this. But 1,000, 1,500, I can make 4 or 5 grand, and maybe I'll try to do that tomorrow. So that's it for me. I hope you guys have a great day. For my YouTube subscribers who are watching these recaps while you're driving the truck or in your commute, this is a nice long one for you, so I hope you enjoy it. And please give me the thumbs up, and I will see you guys first thing tomorrow morning. Bye, everyone. You want to learn more about trading? Check out some of the links in my description, and if you have questions, ask them in the comments. I personally respond to every question posted on my channel. And don't forget to subscribe.